Hello and welcome to Lost in Sci-Fi and Fantasy. I'm your host Leo, and this week we are talking about She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Season 1. Now, I am talking about this, and next week I'm talking about The Legend of Korra, and I'm doing that primarily because I watched these shows back-to-back together, or at the same time. I literally watched it, season to season. Like, I watched season 1 of one, then season 1 of the other, then season 2 and 3 of She-Ra, and then season 2 of Korra, and then so on and so forth. Trying to keep it kind of even. I watched them both together, one, because I was just wanting to watch both of them at the same time, but two, I actually felt that they would go decently well together. Now, part of this is because I wanted to watch some romance, and I wanted to see how both of these series handled that romance. Like, when does She-Ra and the Princesses of Power decide that they're having a romance, and when does The Legend of Korra decide that they're having a romance? Specifically, both of them have technically sapphic romances. She-Ra, Princesses of Power, has a primarily sapphic romance, while The Legend of Korra has for the most part, most of the series, a pure, straight romance, and then, it ends up sapphic at the end. Because both Korra and Asami are bisexual. But yeah, I just wanted to see how both of these handle it, because I knew both of them had romantic elements to them, I just didn't know when they were introduced. And it turns out both of them, it's specifically for The Legend of Korra, it's introduced at the end, literally the last episode. You get some hints maybe during the 4th season, but not a whole lot. But otherwise, you don't get much. In the case of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, it is a lot more there. It's a lot more of an undertone, but it is there. They definitely have chemistry throughout the show. But for the most part, it is played more as, Catra just wants her best friend back. At least, especially in this season. So, this show starts off with a two-parter. That is Adora discovering the sword. Now, the general lore of She-Ra, in I believe the original and this, I have yet to watch the original, but in both, I believe the lore is she was part of the Horde, and she is, at least in the original, is the twin of Prince Adam, He-Man. While in the original, they actually meet and interact and then kind of go their separate ways to do their own thing. In this, we don't see Prince Adam at all. He, I think, is vaguely hinted at. I think it's implied that there is a Prince Adam, but the whole idea is this world she's on has been separated and put into its own pocket dimension, and there it just kind of chills. And She-Ra, as a entity, is a title that's passed down through the wielder of the sword. So there have been other She-Ras. But anywho, so she finds the sword as well as Glimmer and Bow. And while, because she's part of the Horde, they are initially abrasive to it, since she has the sword, which they were looking for, they just kind of become friends and start hanging out. Because they also are able to convince Adora that, hey, the Horde is not good. They're trying to, destroy everything. But with you on our side, we could potentially, turn the tide. And Catra sees this, and initially she thinks, they've taken my friend. But eventually it's shown that no, Adora is trying to help them fully. But a lot of it is still, because Hordak and Shadow Weaver want Adora back, and Catra also wants her back, but Catra slowly throughout the season learns that there is pretty much no chance of getting her back. And Catra, she wants to be a force captain, and because of this, she is made force captain. It's like, and is working together with Scorpia. While she got what she wanted, she got it in a way she didn't want to get it. She wanted to prove herself, but instead she was just given it because Adora abandoned her post. So she starts to hold some resent towards Adora for throwing away the dream that they both had and, not meeting expectations. But also primarily for abandoning her. But throughout the season, like at least the first half or so of the season, it's kind of a Princess of the Week story. So they go to meet with a princess to try to get them to sign up for I think it's like the Princess Accord or whatever. Basically, it's a treaty amongst all the kingdoms to work together and to try and repel the Horde. And each time they go to meet with a princess, something goes wrong, and so they have to, go through. But things start to take a turn around episode 8, Princess Prom, when Adora is supposed to just be calm, because Catra, and they are there to try to recruit Princess Frosta, but, and because she's hosting the prom, they have to be cordial to all the princesses, of course. There's decorum that must be held. And Catra shows up with Scorpia, because Scorpia turns out to be a princess. And things start to take a turn. Like, they know something's wrong. Catra's obviously up to something. But they don't know what. And they can't pin it on her. And there's supposed to be, like, no fighting or anything. And they need to try and stop them from doing their plan. But this is pretty much the point where Catra realizes that there is no hope in getting Adora back, and Adora also realizes that there's no hope in trying to get her friend to join her either, because they're both trying to do the other things. But Catra's able to kidnap Glimmer and Bow, which sets Adora off to try and rescue them, sets up a rescue mission to retrieve them. She uses the term that there will be no princess left behind as motivation to go through. But the rescue mission does not go quite as planned. One of the princesses is indeed left behind, specifically Entrapta, because everyone thought that Entrapta was dead, because they thought that she had sacrificed herself, but she wasn't, and they end up leaving her behind. Catra and Scorpia are able to convince Entrapta to just join them, because while the others misunderstand her, they get her. Because Entrapta is a little bit awkward. She's more technical, and people tend to find her annoying. But she just wants to be able to invent stuff. She pokes and prods and tries to learn. After this, the faith in the Princess Alliance is shaken. Because, well, they just pretty much traded one princess for another. And so it was kind of a zero-sum game, except for potentially one of them being dead, is what they assume, of course. Because of something that Shadow Weaver did, Glimmer is having trouble with her powers and is hiding the issues from her mother. But then the next few episodes just kind of are slowly building up to the Battle of Bright Moon, where Catra and Scorpia finally do a proper siege on Bright Moon, and everyone is doing their best to try and fend them off. It's the at your weakest moment situation, when then the princesses come in and help out, and I believe they're able to protect Bright Moon and fix everything, and the Princess Alliance is reforged properly. And things end on a relatively positive note, but it does leave room for the second season. Yes, no, I really do enjoy this show. It gets better as it goes, especially as, like, alliances shift and things change. And overall, it's pretty good. Now, I paired this with The Legend of Korra, and I think that overall they pair well together, because this is kind of a very, especially in the first season, a very light and bubbly show. Sure, there's a little bit of drama, and there's a death fake out and whatnot, but it's still, for the most part, a very light, fluffy show. In comparison to The Legend of Korra's more serious grit. But the thing is, they also complement each other, as they do sort of have a similar path trajectory as this series goes on. I remember when I watched them together, it was very surprising how well they fit together to just kind of sit and watch. But yeah, the show is quite good. And I like the animation style. It's a very kind of soft, flat look, but it works. It fits the show, I think. It kind of takes the original form and, makes it lighter, and even lighter and even fluffier. It inspired me to go back and watch the old He-Man cartoon and eventually the old She-Ra cartoon. I'll get around to it. I'll also get around to actually finishing the He-Man cartoon. I also want to watch the redone He-Man cartoons. I tried to watch what's it called? I think it's just called He-Man Masters of the Universe, or just Masters of the Universe. It's the one where all of the characters look like action figures. They have a lot of sharp angles and shit. So I tried watching that, and I was kind of getting into it, but then it just every time it tried to pull me in, it kept pushing me away. Every other time I tried to look at it. But yeah, the one I really want to try is the Revolution and Revelation, I think is the two that it is. They look good. I also would like to finish watching Voltron, but yeah, there's a lot of shows I would like to watch. Kippo. But yeah, it's a lot of them are in kind of a similar-ish vein. But yeah, I really enjoy this series, and I also enjoy watching it in hand with The Legend of Korra, because I find them. I kind of unintentionally but semi-intentionally tied them together, and now I kind of have to watch them together. So whenever I do season 2 of Legend of Korra, I'll probably do both season 2 and 3, because season 2 and 3 are a split season. So they're one season just split in half, because every other season's 13 episodes, and for some reason they decided, let's split season 2 and season 2 into 2 seasons. So I'll probably combine those two for next time. But yeah, with that said, we'll kind of keep it a bit short and go ahead and leave it there. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys enjoyed this, feel free to give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Next week we are talking about The Legend of Korra. If you have been, feel free to rate and review it on any podcast catcher of your choice. And with that said, once again, thank you guys so much for listening. I will talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.